Hello, my name is Ben Wolkoff, and welcome to another daily anti-fascist video of Inspired Defiance. Today, I am inspired by all of the reporters that left the Pentagon yesterday after being forced out by Pete Hegseth. Hegseth had required of all reporters who were doing their work at the Pentagon, some for decades, he required that they sign an agreement, a pledge, to not report on anything that wasn't sanctioned by the Pentagon, that wasn't sanctioned specifically by him. While I can decry all of this as censorship, it is something even more insidious. By requiring sign-off on every single piece of material, he is not, as he claims, trying to limit the number of leaks or aiding our enemies. Rather, he is trying to rewrite history. Because right now, what's going on today is making history. The extrajudicial killings of people off the coast of Venezuela, the enemy combatants that are on ships going out and fishing, who are being blown out of the water. At last count, I saw 27 people that have been murdered. Now, if you don't think that those people deserve to live, or you think that they are up to no good and we should be able to do this, then clearly the message is getting out just fine. But if you want an independent press, if you have any respect for the people who have been doing this work, interviewing officials, writing stories, reporting on the day-to-day working of our military and our government, then this is a very sad day for all of us. Recently, I've been watching a documentary series on Edward R. Murrow, specifically his reporting during the McCarthy years. And while these black and white videos show a much slower pace to the news, and they provide a significant amount of time for both sides of an argument, the kind of accusations that Pete Hegseth has made of the press, that they are doing our country a disservice, that we are aiding our enemies by reporting on things that are not officially mandated or approved. This is the same thing that was happening in the 1950s. This is 75 years ago. And if we have any kind of understanding for how history treats those who believe that some voices must be silenced, that by speaking, by reporting, by sharing information, we are aiding our enemies and we are telling a false narrative, we know that history has not treated McCarthy very well. We know that history has not treated those who are trying for censorship very well. And I believe that history will judge very harshly this kind of action on behalf of Pete Hegseth. Our news, our information, the things that we know should not have to be approved by an administration. And because we are making history every single day, it is not the control over what's happening now that I am most worried about. It is the control over history, over how that judgment gets made. I believe that Pete Hegseth and those folks who want to control the narrative so completely that they eliminate an entire perspective from it. They are not worried about the current events. They are worried about the future of the way history is being told. Because if you control the future of how history is told, you get to decide who wins and loses. You get to decide what the narrative is that dominates. We see this in the narrative that persists within many schools in the southern United States about the lost cause, about how our Civil War was about states' rights, about how it was a war of northern aggression, how it had nothing to do with slavery. That is the kind of control that they are looking for. That is the kind of narrative that they would like to canonize, to make permanent by disallowing reporters from doing their jobs. And so for the moment, we don't have reporters at the Pentagon. They dismantled all of the interview spaces. They moved out desks and offices that had been occupied for decades. And there is no press oversight of what's going on there. And that should scare all of us. I'm also inspired today by the fact that J.D. Vance specifically, and the administration at large, is planning for live fire military events during the No Kings protests later this weekend. The reporting suggests that they will be shutting down a major highway in order to conduct this military parade or event. And it is so crystal clear that they are trying to show who is in power, who has control. They are also trying to limit the voices that are going to be at the No Kings events on Saturday. But ultimately, I don't think they're going to be able to limit our voices. I don't think they're going to be able to say that the military might that they can show at any given moment is going to have an impact on the might of people coming together and saying no. No kings, no fascism, and certainly no totalitarian regime. If you want to talk about a display of force, certainly a military event like this one is that. But it is nothing compared to the show of force of thousands upon thousands, potentially millions, coming together and showing up in the street. These people will not be paid. They will be coming together because they believe what is happening is wrong, because we believe what is happening is wrong. And I hope there are enough folks who will see what happens on Saturday and will recognize this effort for what it is, an effort for change. That public opinion is not with this president, is not with J.D. Vance, is not with Pete Hegseth. And when the military is used for political purposes, it has lost the moral argument. And lastly, I'm inspired today by the fact that the Supreme Court seems ready to fully gut the Voting Rights Act. The conservative justices said in oral arguments yesterday, they believe that the use of race to determine electoral districts has lost its value. Its time has passed. In essence, they are saying that racism no longer exists in America, and therefore the legislature should be able to determine maps of any kind that they wish. Because after all, those representatives are representing the voters. And so whatever they think is fair, even if a computer program told them that this was the easiest way for them to maintain control, if they say that that is a fair way to do it, they should be able to do so. It is as if gerrymandering no longer is possible. That any way you want to structure and shape the districts is up for grabs. The Voting Rights Act was put into place to right the wrong of Jim Crow, of making it so some voices were not going to be heard. And ultimately, it just makes it so that legislators can choose their voters instead of the other way around. Redistricting and drawing district maps should be done by independent agencies, by folks who have absolutely no skin in the game. They should be drawn so that everyone is represented, that every voice matters. And if the Supreme Court cannot see the value in that, then they are only causing us to lose faith in our judiciary. When we are voting, we should vote for democracy. We should vote for not only legislators, but also the ability to appoint judges. And when the Supreme Court is running interference for the Republican Party, for the idea that racism no longer exists, we should be able to determine any kind of district maps. We need to tell the Supreme Court and anybody who supports them that this is not okay. And that's what I'm telling you today. It's not okay. And I hope that we can believe that enough to make change.